Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. We had a new 4.0 patch last night. That was a big improvement on the previous build. As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members, in particular to my latest channel members, Blue Leafs, Mito SC, D Polite, Ed J, Nick, Double Digital, and Moondog, and to Metascallion for becoming a VIP channel member. It is all very much appreciated. Thank you for the support. So as mentioned in my previous video, the 4.0 build we had on the EPTU prior to this one was somewhat problematic, to put it nicely. Last night we saw a new patch drop which was said to have many optimizations and a fix for the Rastab bug that was causing a lot of major performance and interaction delay issues. Now, this new 4.0 build came to the EPTU much earlier than usual, around 8:15 last night here in the UK, and I had time to jump on and test it. It is still for the Wave 1 testers at this time, and for me it was a much better experience than the previous one. There is still a few issues, especially around space stations in terms of performance, but even around the space stations, my client-side FPS was mostly just above 30 FPS. It only dipped into the red a couple of times. The server FPS was still very low, even though the build had not been up for long, so that was a shame. Not sure what's happening there, but I certainly didn't have any of those weird, random, sudden performance drops that I assume was caused by this Rastar bug, so it is good to see that that looks to be working. Now, for me in Obituary, one of the space stations in Pyro, the elevators were working fine. As I say, 30 FPS client side was fine for me as well, as I can work with that, but as usual, the minute I left the space stations and went to places like the planets, the performance increased to around 30 to 60 FPS, depending on how many ships were present. And surprisingly, even playing 1 hour after the patch went live, it was pretty busy and full of ships everywhere. Now, I also managed to do a mercenary mission where I had to take out a group of NPCs at a planet-side location about 150 clicks from a CFP settlement. And upon arriving, you are presented with a bunch of eliminate target markers. And on a side note, I really wish these markers were just gone and you had to identify the targets visually based on what they're wearing, as they spend a lot of time making the characters and the armor look as good as it does. And with all this UI, it just fills the screen with a load of bright yellow UI markers, and it really ruins that immersion. Hopefully, as we start seeing more specific visor HUDs for each type of helmet come along, this will be a lot more diegetic and not just this hideous UI everywhere. Anyway, the mission went great. I got some great gear as well, and I spotted a cave entrance in the side of a hill from this location, which was about 600 meters away. That became quite an eerie exploration mission with some interesting things in this cave, and Copians as well. But I absolutely love how densely these locations, or most locations in Pyro are, with one outpost like, for example, Jackson Swap, being surrounded by what must be 15 to 20 separate various points of interest, like caves, homesteads, industrial locations like refineries and things. It is so nice to have places local that you could effectively drive to, and with the dynamic mission system, I wouldn't be surprised if it utilizes all of these various points of interest and just sends you to these areas for the various mission types. Anyway, all in all, the experience of this build was far better than the previous one, and even though for the last few patches I have not fallen through the planet at all, it did happen once last night at a building where I jumped off the top of a small building and just did not touch the ground. I went straight through. So the buildings still need some more optimizations, but as I say, all in all, a much better patch than the previous one. Now, onto the patch notes. For locations, they have updated the quantum travel markers for Pyro 2 and Pyro 3, along with more star map records. They have done further outpost and contested zone lighting and audio polish. They've done further contested zone performance optimizations. Pyro's space station interior and exterior LODs and view distance had more polish, and Pyro 3's planetary fog had some polish as well. For AI, they performed more FPS combat AI balance and made changes to NPC accuracy to make them more inaccurate at range and to make time since last seen be more forgiving. And I will say, during that mission, the NPCs were pretty challenging. They were pinning me down quite a bit. I had to kind of hunker down and plan out a way of getting out of there, while also pushing me a little as well. But I did still manage to take them all out in an undersuit by picking up weapons from dead bodies as and when I needed them. So they couldn't have been that hard. Anyway, they have done further polish on AI voice lines and facial animations. The quasi-grazers have had further idle and transition animations added, plus they have changed the contested zone NPCs to pyro outlaws for the asteroid-based missions. I assume they were, like Ninetales or something before this change. Now, in terms of gameplay updates, they have reduced the jump tunnel traversal times, and although I have not used them myself in this patch, I did see a lot of people talking about them, some people saying they're too quick, others saying it's much better, but also that the size of the tunnel is different depending on the size of your ship and the shape of it too. So I don't know what to make of that, but there is clearly quite a lot of changes going on there, continuous changes. Now, for the star map, they have added party marker members to the marker databank panel, which is very useful, being able to find each other on the map. They have also added single to multi-small grade hauling contracts. Now, I didn't see any of these available to me while I was in Pyro. Whether it's only for Stanton, even though I'm pretty sure they already have them in Stanton, it could just be they're adding it to the 4.0 build, but hopefully they will appear in Pyro as well. That would be cool. They have removed the default binding for the gimbal source during manual gimbal mode, and for the loot menu UI, they have added logic to hide the tab list if only showing one tab. And then for ships and vehicles, the Tumbril Storm claim timer was increased to 5 minutes, and then in Core Tech, they have made further networking optimizations to help reduce interaction delay, and I must say I didn't have any interaction delay for the 2.5 hours I was playing. I thought I did to start with, very early on, because we had a server recovery or a server error quite early on in the build, but once it recovered, it didn't happen again for me, nor was there any interaction delay, which is good. There has been quite a bit of audio polish, jump point tunnel shaping, audio, lighting, and UI polish pass. They have also physicalized the jump tunnel as well, so that the camera collides with the actual tunnel itself rather than clipping outside. And they have reduced camera vibration for third-person ship cameras and fixed multiple entities in the PU, causing large log spams. Now, in terms of bug fixing, there were 27 more bug fixes, plus it says that today's build contains quite a few more fixes for missing collision around outposts, which, as I say, it's been a long while, multiple patches since I fell through the planet, but it did happen today at one location. Now, there has also been 4 client crashes fixed, 10 server crashes fixed, and a server deadlock fixed. And in other areas, they have also included a dashboard toggle in the ship's MFD so that you can display or not display your holographic UI on top of your MFD housing. And they say that they have also removed the extended view option in the MFD screen and replaced it with a third tab, which is called Enable Advanced HUD. However, this HUD is not yet ready and is work in progress, so it won't show anything. And finally, I can't remember who it was that told me on stream the other day, but thank you. In the Intrepid, there is a place in the living quarters where you can hang a poster, which I really love, and I thought others might want to know this. I don't know if any of the ships allow this at this time, but eventually many more will. So that was the latest build, a big improvement over the previous one. I just hope that they can keep pushing at this rate and get the build into a good state for either an open PTU for all by the end of the year, or live. Now, I would be happy for either of those options. Of course, having it live and stable would be the dream, but what I am playing and seeing is worth waiting for. So if it pushes into next year, I am fine with that, so long as what we have to play is as solid and stable and optimized as possible. But I still feel they are trying to push it out to live before the end of the year. Now, I did manage to get a couple of potential videos recorded of 4.0, but they are without commentary, as I wasn't sure if the game was going to work long enough for me to actually properly record a full video yet, so I didn't want to risk it, but also B, my 2.5-year-old daughter was asleep in the room next door, so I didn't want to wake her up. So I'll hopefully put those together and get one out maybe tomorrow or over the weekend. But with that said, I will be streaming today between 2 and 6 PM GMT instead of tomorrow. There is no stream tomorrow as it is my girlfriend's birthday, and we will be jumping into 4.0 more this afternoon, testing as much as we can. Actually testing to see the viability of an off-grid series in Pyro and how that could work. So let us hope for a nice, smooth time. But as always, if you do enjoy my videos, please do consider subscribing and helping the channel to grow. The link to my Twitch channel is below, but you can also watch me live here on YouTube now. Hit the thumbs up if you don't mind, it does the channel a big favour, and tick that notification bell if you'd like to be notified when my videos go live. Again, a huge thank you to my patrons and channel members. Cannot do it without you guys, so thank you for the support. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.